Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here with us in this webinar, daily webinar at 11 a.m. EST time. It is a pleasure actually to welcome you all to a new week that ideally is more positive, more hopeful, more allowing us to understand better the new paradigm that we're living and shifting it away so that we can be part of a recovery plan. So we're ahead of time. This is part of the Hispanic Response and Recovery Plan that all of us are putting together. All of Hispanic associations and organizations are getting actually back into fighting and being ready to respond, and ideally together be able to create a plan so that we can recover and be better and faster back in our feet. It is my pleasure to welcome today a friend, an incredible leader, Patricia Mota. Patricia, who's the president of HACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement. Patricia was one of the first persons that I met when I started getting involved in Hispanics, and she's been not only a gracious mentor and a guiding force, but also an incredible support for everything that we've been doing with the Hispanic Star and mobilizing her incredibly dynamic membership as well. Patricia Mota, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hola, Claudia. Hola a todos. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And Patricia, on that front, from the very beginning, again, I just want to make sure that people understand what HACE is. I was very impressed when I met you in Chicago, like I would say 2.5 years ago, when you explained to me what HACE is and the breadth of your membership, but also even more the dedication of the volunteers that act, throughout the country with HACE. Can you explain to everybody what HACE is and does?
Absolutely, thank you. So HACE is a national nonprofit organization that was founded in 1982 in Chicago. And the mission then continues to be the mission that we carry today. However, how we deliver on that has evolved over time. That being to positively impact the American workplace by cultivating the pipeline of Latino talent across the country. And so we do that through 3 core areas. One is what we're traditionally known for, so it's talent acquisition programs and services. So these are, and again, of course, this has evolved over time, but program services, referral systems, where we're actively connecting our employer partners and job seekers to one another. Secondly is what began in the late 90s, early 2000 is what we consider our pipeline and leadership development programs. So this is content, curriculum, instructor guide, participant guide that help us create a pipeline of leaders starting as young as the high school level, to mid-level Latino talent and connecting to senior level opportunities as well. This includes our El Futuro high school program, our Emerging Latino Leaders program, our Mujeres de HACE focus on Latina professionals. And thirdly and finally is more so around thought leadership. So this is our Diversity Officer Roundtable. This is our annual summit and our annual awards dinner. So opportunities to showcase the corporate partners, the employers, the individuals that align with our mission. Overall, we have a reach of about 64,000 across the country, individuals that are job seekers or alumni from our programs.
64,000, I remember so well that number. It was very impressive for me to hear that number the first time that I met you. But so pretty much HACE is training, developing talent, Hispanic talent, and helping place them and promote them pretty much. And that is something that I remember when we started looking at the Hispanic Promise, the promise to hire, promote, retain, and celebrate Hispanics that we did together, a number of Hispanic organizations did together, how incredibly important it was for companies to diversify their workforce, because they know that without a diverse workforce, there's no diverse consumer base that they can attract. And nevertheless, it's hard, and I keep on hearing, oh yeah, but tell me where are the Latinos that I can hire and that I can promote and so on. No. Now, tell me about in this COVID time, when unemployment has really, I have here a quote that really is impressive. Unemployment rate is approaching one of the Great Depression. At that time, there were 8.7 million jobs lost. Now we're losing that every 10 days. America started, like last year, we had an unemployment of 3.7, 3.4 unemployment rate. Now we're closer to 17%, and Hispanics are, asking for unemployment 25% faster than non-Hispanics, because we work in those areas that are the most affected. We're in the service industry, we're in the gig economy, we're in the sharing economy, and those jobs have been massively affected. How do you, looking at that situation with an organization that has your mandate, is pivoting? What are the skills that you're training people? How are you doing that? First of all, how did you pivot Asset to do what you're doing online? And how have the training skills that what are the training areas that you're training people to do changed? Have they changed since we don't have any service industry right now? So we have to go into more. We heard on Friday that being an analyst is the job of the future. How are you pivoting that?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is taking a lot of the work that we've already done historically and focusing on the areas that would be most beneficial now for individuals that are out there, and leveraging folks, the subject matter experts, the career coaches and executives that have been so gracious to volunteer their time at a time like this. So for example, in the next month, we have a webinar on specifically if you've been recently laid off, what are some key points and some key tactics that you need to consider and take into action, right? And also in terms of taking this time are you building your brand, even if you haven't been laid off, right? If you are currently employed, we all may have some time to reflect and define on what is it that I need to shift on terms of my branding in case, it's always best to look when you're not, to start building that profile when you're not looking. The second thing in addition to the professional development aspect of our work and focusing on those topics that are geared toward those in transition and job seekers, the second key has been on leaning in on the employers that are hiring. So there's the industries that have been affected, have had massive layoffs, but then looking and offering opportunities for the companies that are hiring to be able to showcase those job opportunities. A couple of ways, not only are we featuring their jobs on a daily basis through our social media outlets, we're also sending in referrals. So if you're looking, right, please let us know. Go through our job board. We'll also refer you through that way. So we're actively sending over candidates. And then the other step is offering a first ever virtual career fair. So these are companies that we're firming up, and we have several more on the docket that are hiring. And so we want to be able to offer you the professional development, right? Whether it's shifting the skill sets that you have, maybe it's to a new industry, right? Whether it's understanding how do you build that resume, opportunities that are available. So those are the ways that we've shifted our priorities, not just the leadership training. So
you have, since COVID, pivoted and adapted, and you're finding, if I understand correctly, that people are the professionals that you used to have for volunteering, like in training, they are coming along. People are showing solidarity, and they're showing their volunteering muscle, saying like, of course I will give a training on branding, of course I will do that. The second part that I think you're saying is use this time wisely. If you have a job or if you don't have a job, skill up yourself on those things that you probably should anyways, such as personal branding. You started mentioning a couple of those, like getting your CV right.
Yeah, no, some of the topics is right. Getting your resume ready and prepared, and your resume should be a template that you customize for each role that you apply for, right? So we walk you through, we offer monthly coaching sessions. Again, these are coaches that are volunteering their time. And if you want your resume review, that's an opportunity to do that. If you're in transition and you're saying, well, my industry is currently not hiring, but I need an opportunity, then we have the coaches and the webinars that are also on topics in terms of how do you transition your skill sets that you already have to a completely new industry. So right now is the time, if you are recently laid off, looking for that next opportunity, to not just start throwing your resume that you currently have out there, but make sure that you take the time by meeting with the coach, and there's free coaches out there, right, with ASA as well, to review and really reflect on what is it that you want to do. The second thing is leverage the networks that are out there. So the Hispanic Alliance is an example of that. ASA is an example of that. Many organizations is write down the list of the top 10 companies, organizations that you want to work with. And before you even start applying, reach out to individuals such as myself, organizations such as ASA, to say, do you have any contacts at these companies that I can just have a coffee chat with? Right now, people are being so gracious with their time. It doesn't hurt whether to leverage folks that have a large network, or to even go on LinkedIn and to reach out to folks from these companies and say, hey, I just want to pick your brain, right? I want to know, these are some of the roles that I'm interested in. What are your thoughts, right? So not only getting your resume ready, but also start doing outreach. So build a list of individuals and companies that you want to start making communication and contact with, because people are willing to help right now. And yes, where there's a lot of bad news that's out there, but there's a lot of good and greatness and graciousness that's coming out from folks that have the expertise, the skill sets, that are willing to help. So I think sometimes as a community, we're so humble to reach out for help, and we need to get, step that aside and
let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that for a second, if you don't mind. So two parts. The first one is we have, and we would love to invite ASA to be part of this, what we call the Day of Action. As you know, we're all human through the Hispanic Star. What we're trying to do is unify the Hispanic community and unify efforts so that we do a couple of things, all of us loud. Everybody has individual efforts that are fantastic, but when we get collective action, we can actually push, push the agenda further and push the envelope. So one of those push the envelope collective actions that we're trying to do is invite people like yours, like yourself and your organization, to say, like, let's incentivize all your 64,000 members and all the companies that we work with on the Hispanic Promise, and everyone together to one day now, around the corner, May 21, let's take action towards benefiting Hispanic organizations, whether it's donate to organizations like ASA so that you can continue volunteering and so on, whether it's actually go and give food to your neighbor, or is donate your time and put it on the marketplace of people that you can, if you can be a coach. So ideally we can, again, look at ways in which we can all together bring ASA to the table and incentivize all the network of the 7 companies that are going to be in your fair, in your recruitment fair, in your career fair, all your 60,000 members, 64,000 members, and everyone, along with every other organization that we have, the 75 organizations that work with us on the Hispanic Star, so that we can have action together. How does that sound?
That sounds great. And to your point as well, to the companies that are out there that are hiring, there is a disparity with our Black and Brown communities. And so please reach out to ASA, to Hispanic Alliance, to ensure that we're getting your opportunities out there. I mean, we need everyone's help, right? And I think that's a great collective action. And Claudia, you've done an amazing job of being able to organize and mobilize a lot of our organizations to come together, right? Because more than ever before, and that's our theme, the ASA theme for years, our collective power. It takes each of us, it takes each individual, it takes each organization to really fully embrace the power that we have to move the needle.
That's right. So May 21, if you have or if you need, this is the day. And we will have almost like a Craigslist so that everyone can, and ideally we can actually showcase ASA as a marketplace as well for people that want to give coaching, coaching for anything that you hear there that Patricia just mentioned, or if you want, if you need, and if you have, if you want, and if you can provide, this is going to be an invitation for all of you to match that day and give that day. This is the day of action for all of us. But let's go back to the not asking. Mm-hmm. Only 44% of Hispanics request even financial aid. Only 28% of those get the financial aid. We don't ask. I can tell you overall how humble we are in terms of, self-advocating. We have data on how behind the scenes we want to be, how humble we want to be, how we want hard work to speak for ourselves. Yeah. And I have to tell you, Patricia, that I would love to see how you see it. Now that I have my mother, hospitalized in intensive care, ventilated in Mexico, I've seen how, you know, like my husband, and I keep on talking about that because I live it every day, how the network works. It's simple. Everybody knows that you have, you know, a certain number of people, 1,000 people have the phone number of each other, 500 people, 100 people have the phone number of each other, and they call each other to say like, hey, listen, my mother-in-law is in the hospital in Mexico. Do you know anyone that knows anyone that knows anyone? And then the ball goes. We just have to be very conscious and intentional about having that network, saying, I want to apply for a job in a place where you know someone. Can you call someone to call someone to call someone because I want a job? And that is perfectly acceptable.
It is.
How do we get to that skill set?
I think you just have to do it, you know, and start doing it and be comfortable with it, and know that, and have the confidence that your value and your skill set is there. I had a recent job seeker who did exactly what I mentioned earlier, right? She's like, these are the top 10 companies that I want to work with. And then in the body of the email, she sends a short description of herself, right? With the resume attached, something simple that only took me a minute for each forward for me to be able to send and do an introduction, like, hey, so-and-so from this company, can you meet with this person? And all of them accepted to meet with her, right? So I think sometimes you just, you know, have to ask, and you shouldn't feel guilty or bad about it. The other
do you think it's a skill that needs to be trained? Do you have any coaches on, yeah, I don't know how to call it, networking for purpose?
Here's a perfect example. We are doing group coaching sessions as well in May. So and they're all on a specific topic. So the one that aligns itself perfectly to this is building confidence. It's a group coaching session. You can sign up, and it's more so in terms of understanding not only your worth, but I think once you really gain clarity and build that confidence, then you're able to reach out and not feel as bad. And I think sometimes it's just because I really want my work to speak for itself. I really want to just work really hard. I don't want to beg or ask. It's not begging. It's more so the only way that we're able to advance is in our careers and as a community is to ensure that we're pushing and that we're advocating. And Claudia, you're a perfect example of this, right? You're fiercely advocating always for the community and pushing and asking. And I think we need to do that first and foremost for ourselves. The other resource that I did want to mention is that we also launched a new career job board. So we've always had a job board, but it makes it easier for you to build your resume on the job board. It's free for job seekers. And then our employers are on there also looking at the resumes and reaching out to individuals. So go for it, just do it. And I think right now is the time that we need to stop feeling bad about asking for what we deserve.
Yeah, no, I think that's a message that we will take, and you know, like you and I should talk about whether we should formalize any sort of like more structured way of doing. And this is not social mobility, but it is about social network. And how do we create a network that is specific, intentional, and open about we're going to support each other on the moving the ladder up. And I think that's a skill set that if we know that's a weakness, so we should probably think about it. Tell me about two questions. The jobs of today, I mean, like, what are the jobs of the future? What are the skill sets that are needed right now that you're seeing on those companies that are hiring?
I would say if we haven't realized it by now, I think it's pretty clear that the top skill set is adaptability, is flexibility, because change, one thing is constant, is change, right? So I think when you're looking at folks going, so that's more on the skill sets in terms of a trait, right? In terms of being able to have that is one that interviewing is constantly, you're being asked about that, behavioral skills and things like that. The second one I would add, I mean, we've heard about technology, right? Are you, right now there's a lot of free courses out there that are being offered through several universities, whether it's through coding, whether it's computer science. We have a partnership with, for example, the Illinois Tech. And so you're able to get a discount on various computer science degrees and a lot of the top skill sets that are being required out there. And so if you have the chance and you are in transition and you have the opportunity, definitely leverage all of the free, reduced, and discounted courses that are out there, specifically in the tech field, because that's something, every industry is going to be a tech field field, if it tech career, tech industry, if it's not already, just begin, I mean, and we see it today. And then the second piece in terms of more of the informal type of traits is how do you learn how to become more of an adaptable, flexible leader?
Yeah, fantastic. So time's up. I can't believe it goes so fast. And so tips, recommendations, where do people find your resources, and any final thought before, again, reminding us that 21 May, ideally we can do something together so that we all join forces and take a day of action in favor of our community, in favor of those that have been affected by COVID-19, which is pretty much everybody. There's no one that has not been affected by COVID-19, but Hispanics have been disproportionately affected in every sense. And we want to take one day and storm the nation by saying everybody to support Hispanics today. By giving your time, by giving donations, by giving resources and everything we have. Patricia Mota, final thoughts, message, like a final thought, a final recommendation, and where to find you and the resources you have available?
Yeah, absolutely. So aceonline.org, you'll find all of the resources, all of the recorded webinars that we've had in the past, all of the upcoming webinars, the coaching sessions, the Cafecito con Ace topics. But my last tip is to build clarity for job seekers and those in transition, is to take the time, build clarity, and ask for help to get your resume updated. Reach out to your network and get at least that top 10 connection, whether it's individuals or companies that you're looking to build a relationship with. And thirdly, do not forget the power of LinkedIn. So take the time to update that and to leverage it to build your network. And lastly, do not be afraid to ask. Please reach out. Again, myself, I'm available, Asa is available. And thank you, Claudia, for this platform. We look forward to May 21st. And this is the last thing. May 28th is our virtual career fair that will be available for folks for free. So that will be following a couple days after the May 21st initiatives.
Fantastic. Well, we will promote all of those, like the resources that you have available, your career first, so that everybody, like everybody that needs to hire can hire us, and everybody that needs a job can get one, and everybody that needs a hand feels that we're not alone. So time to move from fear to action. Thank you so much, Patricia Mota, for being with us today. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.